So glad that you joined us today, viewers. We've been talking to Sarah Trollinger and some of the people from the House of Hope, and what an encouraging ministry that is. And now we're going to have another story for you. And in this segment, we're going to be talking to Carla Mathis, who also works at the House of Hope. And there's a conference coming up to help parents to understand how to better rear their children into godly young people that God wants them to be. And it's called Redeem, Rebuild, and Restore. It's going to be held at First Presbyterian Church in Orlando. If you're interested in going, you can go to that website that's on your screen right now to learn a little bit more about the conference that's being held in September 15th and 16th. And Carla, you're here today to tell us a little bit about that. Before you do that, what is your title there at the House of Hope? What do you do?
I am basically an independent contractor, so I help in marketing and development for House of Hope and for National House of Hope.
Oh, very good. And
Yes.
National House of Hope is what? Because we were thinking House of Hope was just here in Orlando, but it's everywhere.
National House of Hope is the governing body for the affiliates throughout the country. So House of Hope Orlando is the main campus. It serves as the national model. And there are several Houses of Hope across the country.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
And they're all
So they're
coming to
about
town in
7.
September, right?
They are all coming to town in September for this conference.
That's
So we're
great.
real excited about it.
How did the Lord plant the seed in your mind to have this kind of a conference? What was the need?
Basically, if I rewind back to 2013, I was attending a National House of Hope conference and was listening to some of the speakers who will be at this conference, and was looking around the room because that conference was mainly just for the affiliates. And the question came to my mind, where are the parents? Because so much of the information was so valuable. And so then, and I guess it was 2015, after just meeting so many parents who brought their children to House of Hope, I kept hearing the words, I had no idea. I had no idea my child was doing XYZ. I had no idea XYZ existed, fill in the blanks. And so just really sought the Lord and was praying about it. And I just heard him say, take Parenting Mobile. And so really it was just, it's a God thing, but I'm real excited to see the vision come to fruition. And so it's the conference, Redeem, Rebuild, Restore, is to educate and equip parents with biblical tools and resources to become the family leader that God intended them to be.
Carla, that's great. I mean, I have 2 daughters. They did great, but I had to read every book that I could find. And that's all I had. I didn't have a conference to go to. I didn't know how to rear godly children in the home other than the books that I read. And thank goodness, thank God, really, for James Dobson, because he was kind of my parenting guru. But we need help and we need assistance. And we have an example of a couple who have gone through the program. Jesse, you have gone through, Jesse Wilkes, gone through the program years and years ago. And your mom, your beautiful mother, Jody Kalmus, thank you for being here with us today. Jody, what made you think that you had the courage to put your child in a house like that? I mean, you give up kind of ownership of them for a while,
You do.
right?
You give up total ownership and you turn them over to God.
Which is what we're supposed to do anyway,
That's
right?
what we're supposed to do. But it's really difficult. It's very difficult.
Sure.
But I knew it was time when I couldn't do anything more.
How old was Jessie at the
Jessie
time?
was 15.
15. What was she doing that was so bad?
She was running away and she was promiscuous with older men and doing drugs and being disrespectful and raging. And we knew she was a beautiful child and that this wasn't her. Down deep, it was not her. And so we needed help. And I thought I could do it because I was her mom.
Sure.
And I didn't need help.
Were you a Christian at the time?
Not the time, no. Not
Was
at
there a
the time.
dad in the picture?
Yes.
There was a dad in the
Yes.
home.
So there's a dad in the home, and it's Jesse's stepdad. And so there was a dad in the home, still a dad in the home. And he continued to tell me, we need help. And I kept telling him, no, we don't. I can do this. I can do this.
What was rock bottom?
Rock bottom was when Jesse was arrested and put into juvenile detention. And she could have either stayed in jail and the juvenile detention center and in the system, or we could find help. And the judge really put it in our hands to say, what are you going to do? And so I turned to the great company that I worked for at the time, was vulnerable, don't know where it came from, and I said, I need help. And they gave me the name and number of House of Hope. We contacted them, and we had a week because Jessie was to go in front of the judge in 1 week. And when we went in front of the judge, we said, we have this place, they have accepted her, and this is where we would like her to be
Instead of jail.
instead of jail.
And the judge said yes?
Immediately.
Because he knew about the House of Hope and Sarah Trollinger. Everybody knows about
Yes.
it, right?
So it was a blessing from God. So I knew
Yes.
at that time
It's a gift.
that it was a gift. And it was a gift. And although I was not an active Christian, I've always believed in God. I was raised in the church. I knew and I had faith, but I was not active in the church. And I remember sitting outside and just praying to a full moon, Lord, here I am for you. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And so everything just unraveled. And Jessie had an aunt that took her in until we could get her into House of Hope, which was another blessing. And then she entered House of Hope in January of 2002. And I remember walking on the campus of House of Hope, and there's just this presence of the Holy Spirit. And I knew that it was the right thing. And at that time, I said, Lord, I am surrendering to you, and I am giving your child back to you. And when it's time for her to return, we will all know that it's time.
I would call that a change of, I know you said you knew God. Sarah would say you went from knowing God in your head to knowing God in your heart.
Yes.
And having a relationship
Yes,
with God.
absolutely.
You know, relationship is calling out to God.
Yes.
Help me, God. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go.
Yes.
Jesse, got to hear your perspective, your point of view. You're a 15-year-old
Yes.
Angry child, I would say.
I was very angry.
A child in
Yes.
rebellion.
Absolutely.
All right, what do you do when your mom comes to you and said, guess what, Jesse? You're going to go live in the House of Hope.
Well, I didn't really have a choice.
That's true. The judge told you that. That's true. You could have run away.
Well, I actually had just come back from running away.
Yes.
And my mom and I had a large fight, and I actually attacked her. And so that's when the police were called, and
Yeah.
I was arrested. I think the entire time I never felt safe. You know, even from a very young age, I was severely abused by my real father. Sorry.
We hear this all the time. It's so tragic. Thank you for having the courage to talk about it. Because people need to hear that because there are other people going through that
Right.
as well.
So I never felt like I was worth anything. And being so controlled and abused by my dad, and then going to live with my mom when I was 14, I could finally have a voice. Well, I didn't know how to have a voice.
Right.
And I didn't know that I was worth anything. So I did what I was never allowed to do, and I just did whatever I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, I was crying out for love.
You were
and
looking for approval and love.
I was. And Mom and I never really had a solid relationship because I didn't live with her for the first 14 years of my life. So we didn't know how to have a relationship. I was crying out for my mom to love me. I wanted approval, and knowing that I was somebody, but I didn't know who that was or how to get there, you look for it in all the wrong places.
Sure.
So Mom providing that tough love that says it is time, and going through, you know, I can remember the first day I was at House of Hope and what I did and, you know, the feeling, but I felt safe. It was like an immediate safety that I knew they wouldn't hit me,
Yeah.
and I knew they wouldn't lash out at me.
Right.
And it allowed me to find myself. And it's been an amazing journey since then. And I've been able to build relationships with the staff that was there that still carry on. You know, 15, 16 years later, one of the Mr. Tim, he married my husband and I last
Wow.
year.
Wow.
You know, just those relationships that you form, they're amazing. And now that I am a mom, I can use the tools
Yes.
that they gave our family.
Yes.
You know, I was the one being parented when I was in the program, so I got to learn from what God was instilling in my life through my parents, through my mom and my stepdad. And now I get to do that with my children and break those curses
Yes.
from my father.
That's right. You've been equipped.
I've
You've
been
been
equipped.
trained. You know how to do this. Well, when did you come to really know the Lord? Because to me, that would be that's the turning point.
About a month after I went into House of Hope, it
Wow.
was really fast. It was
Sarah doesn't
almost,
take long,
No,
does she?
it's almost immediately. I came in the first week of January in 2002, and I was traveling with Sarah within a month.
Wow.
Telling my testimony and
great.
touching, women's lives and other teens' lives, and finding myself through the process, and it was amazing.
Did you only move forward, Jesse, or were there?
I was never on a discipline in the program.
That is amazing. And
Going from somebody
yes,
who
right.
to somebody who was never on a discipline.
So you have gone 15 years down the road, and would you say it's been just continuing to grow closer to the Lord that whole time?
Even through some of the down times
Yeah.
that I did go through, even after getting out of the program. But God always brought me through.
Right,
And
right.
God always showed me the light. And looking back, He said, I had you there. And then it grows us closer together, with God and myself. And Ecclesiastes 3:11 has taken me through so many of the most difficult times that there's always a reason for something, and He has made everything beautiful
That's
in
right.
its time, not in my time. It's all in His timing, and that's what I really cling to.
And
with,
you are
with
beautiful.
the journey. Oh,
I
thank
can
you.
see Jesus in your countenance and in yours as well, Jody.
Thank you.
We're all out of time, and I want to hear more of your story, but I do want to give you 30 more seconds
Okay.
to speak to that viewer out there, that kid who needs to go to the House of Hope. What would you say? What's your biggest piece of advice that you can give somebody who's in rebellion?
There is a true light inside of you that House of Hope will really love on you to be able to find who God is truly meant for you to be, and that it is a journey, but that journey is so beautiful when you cling to God.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here with us today, Jesse and Jody and Carla. And remember, viewers, the conference is coming up, Redeem, Rebuild, and Restore. Go to that website to learn more about the conference and to learn more about House of Hope, particularly if you know someone who is in a position, in a place of just difficulty. There's a place, and God is in that place. And Sarah Trollinger and Carla Mathis are doing an incredible job through House of Hope and through that ministry. We've got more coming up for you, so don't go away. Stay with us.
The problems facing our teens today are cancers destroying our families. Every day I am faced with desperate parents crying out for help to save their teenagers. Are you a parent being challenged with today's issues facing your children? Is your family being destroyed by issues such as social media, addictions, abuse, cutting, bullying, and much more? We have the solutions for you.
Join hundreds of desperate parents for the Redeem, Rebuild, Restore conference for parents of teens and preteens, hosted by National House of Hope. National family and parenting experts will be providing valuable tools and biblical resources to equip today's parents to become the family leader God intended them to be.
And what it is to be a man, what it is to be a husband, what it is to be a father. And then God goes on to restore me. See, God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself.
Hey there, I'm Candace Cameron Bure. Parents, you do not want to miss this exciting, life-changing event. Your family will be redeemed, rebuilt, and restored.
Space is limited, so register today.